then another half step, and go back up to the root pitch, and then I finger up a whole step, half step, go back to the original finger, and then finger up a whole step and go back, so like so. So the idea is I'm trying to really focus on the center resonance of the note, and both from bending below and essentially from above the pitch as well, trying to come into the center. But the starting point usually is just bending below, and so this is probably a great starting exercise for this. Get to the point that both of those notes, when I have the right fingering, have as much resonance and kind of color in the sound as possible, right? If I'm not doing that, like what do we tend to do as trumpet players? Which side of the pitch do we tend to play on, most of us? Yeah, not too many players are walking around playing way flat on the instrument. If you guys ever hear like you remember maybe when you first started playing the trumpet, it sounded a little bit like this. Right? Sounds like a little kid playing. What is the little kid doing? They're just playing as sharp as possible. So to go from, right? All I've done is gone from as high as possible to much closer to the center. And so that's really the goal here, is trying to train yourself in different ranges of the instrument to go right to the center. So let's try that together. The first version of just now be careful about thinking about bending. What you want to think is that you're playing a G, and then you just move into F sharp without moving the valve, and then you're actually fingering the F sharp, going back to open, and then going back up to G. Because if you think about bending, you might get this effect, and then you are in fact playing flat on the note. But instead, if I think of I'm just going to F sharp. I get a nice center note. Right? Should we try that together? Good. At the end of the exercise, yeah, in your case, I guess you just go to, you bend it and then go to second position.
Yeah.
Right?
Maybe I got something to play.
You've got to traverse the slide. I play soprano trombone. Poorly, unfortunately, but I do understand at least the mechanics of the slide and what you're dealing with there. But yeah, that works like that.
I play pretty poorly on it too, so.
He's mostly a valve guy, tuba guy. Yeah. All right, so anyone want to try this? No? Rhys can demonstrate. Let's try it all together on F sharp. Same kind of idea. I'll demonstrate first. In fact, no, why don't you demonstrate it, and the rest of us will do it. Beautiful. Everyone? As you go higher, it's much harder to control. And if you find yourself dropping off the pitch, that's normal. That's just a normal part of gaining control of the exercise. So as I go higher, so I use, when I'm on G, I don't want to use A to go up the finger because it's part of the the overtones here, so it's kind of cheeky, right? And then, so then you can learn to, with this flexibility, kind of playing the notes between the notes. You can train also doing a scale up in that range without using any vowels. Right, so not the most useful thing to do on stage probably, but it's a nice exercise to work on that kind of flexibility. Now I really like doing this exercise below the staff where you can bend a much wider interval. So we try that together. So we're playing a C, we're trying to bend down to the G, come back up, and then, don't worry about the last part of it, just that first part of it. Play the C, bend down to the G, and back up. This will also be a beautiful effect with a bunch of trumpet players together. Now, this can also be a great way to train your low register if you're having trouble with centering, because like I mentioned before, too many trumpet players ignore the low register because it's not very exciting, but it is crucial for us. There have been times when, a lot of what I do is as a soloist or as a jazz player, but every now and then I get the sub with like the Richmond Symphony or something, and I'm sitting on a low B, right? And my job is to play it perfectly in tune with the first trumpet, and to play with a good resonant sound, and play right in time, something that's really, really basic, and yet not all that easy to do, unless we practice it all the time. All the stuff I can play, they don't care about circular breathing, or multiphonics, or any of the other stuff I do. They just need that note to be right in tune with a good sound with the first trumpet player. And there are lots of pieces that start even lower than that, of course, where you have, or don't start necessarily, but that take you down to the bottom range. You have that command of it. So if I'm bending down there, so bending the note there and then fingering it is going to give you a chance to really make the note pop with the best resonance. Let's try that together. We're going to bend down to the G, and then finger the G, and go back to the open fingering and go back up. Good. Anyone want to try that? Besides Rhys and yeah. So you're making, and this is good though, because this also illustrates, you can also do a sort of an intermediate exercise. If you find like, getting down to the G is a little bit tough at first, go for a more narrow interval. So try going first to, let's go to the B. And be careful against you're bending a little bit as you finger the B. See how the B pops when I play the finger? If I'm playing flat on it, it's not gonna have that. Too far. So so play the B first without bending. There you go. Yeah. So that's the pitch you're going for. So make sure you bend to that pitch before you finger. Try again. Yeah, very good. Now. Down to A. flat to A, and see if you can get, when that feels pretty accurate and really starting to get the good resonance on the fingered A, then you go lower. You can also you can approach the B from, not from the C, but closer, maybe from the B flat to the A. So you can do all kinds of things to sort of train the low register and start where it sounds good and it's easier and sort of push against that barrier of whatever limit you're finding at the time, and you'll find probably pretty quickly it gets better and more consistent. Good.
I have a question.
Sure.
So particularly with doing these in the lower register, do you ever find, or I should say, I find, and I struggle with this a little bit, that trying to get down and keep the sound nice when I'm going down to like to the G, I get real open. And when I try to go back up, I can't.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm talking about? Is that?
Yeah, I think what happens sometimes is, I think the best way to approach that, and everyone probably has slightly different mechanics in terms of what works best for them. Some people use a bit of pivoting. For me, I find, as I change registers, I have to keep the corners intact. And I find that as I get to the bottom, my jaw is opening up just a bit while the corners are still engaged, and this allows me to go back up. So if I'm doing, if it's all about just the corners opening a little, the jaw opening slightly, and the corners staying in place, and I find I keep that control. But if my corners go, I can't even get the note, let alone get back up. And obviously that was a bit extreme, but I think all it takes is a little bit of that, a little bit of losing control of the corners to lose the center, and then it's harder to get back. Register. But again, I think it's worth experimenting because everyone might have a slightly different mechanical way of approaching that based on the shape of their jaw and their lips and the teeth and the mouthpiece they use. There are a lot of people who use pivot very effectively, and I don't think I really pivot much at all. I watch myself play. I figured out a lot of what I do by watching myself. I don't really